Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I have a brand new video which I'm actually very excited about. It's August now, obviously, which is so crazy. This year has been ridiculous, but I know a lot of people are going to be going back to school soon, whether it be this month or in September. I know it's really common in Canada for kids to go back to school in September. I really don't know what's going on with school here, but I figured I would start making some back to school content for y'all because back to school season, whether you like it or not. I'm not sure if y'all know, but I recently graduated from the University of Guelph in February. This is really exciting. So I decided that I was going to start making more college, university related content, specifically about Guelph, but just about university in general. I know over the past previous years I filmed some move-in day vlogs, and from those vlogs I've gotten a lot of DMs on Instagram and on YouTube about Guelph and the dorms and what it's like, so I decided to just make a video about it. So today I'm going to start off by making a video about some life hacks about Guelph that I wish I knew in first year, and I didn't end up learning until all the way until like probably my 4th year of university, and I feel like these would have saved my life so much, so I decided to just film a video about them. These are definitely not all the life hacks. I'm sure I'm missing some, but these are just ones that I discovered that I found for me personally was the most helpful, so I'm gonna go into that. I definitely will be filming a university specific tips video and stuff, and story times and all that jazz. So if you want to hear about it, make sure to subscribe to this channel. But without further ado, I know this intro is getting way too long. Let's just go ahead and get started. Okay, so these life hacks are kind of random, and I do feel like it depends on if you physically go to Guelph, and like I said, because of coronavirus, I don't know what's going on with that, but I'm assuming that y'all are going to be moving in, whether it be this fall or next winter. Whenever you guys end up moving on campus, I would highly recommend going to the Starbucks in LA. I will put a map somewhere if I can find it of what Guelph looks like, but in Guelph on campus there's 3 Starbucks. There's one in the UC, which is the university center, there's one in the library, and then there's one in LA. And LA is a residence building on campus. It's a little bit far, it's not that far, but it's in North Campus, and so it's a little bit away from Central Campus, but I would highly recommend that Starbucks because it's rarely ever busy. It's really nice, and it's the perfect place to study. It's not as hectic as some of the other Starbucks. I know in between classes the UC Starbucks line is ridiculous, and then the library Starbucks line is literally awful, especially during midterms and final seasons when everyone is in the library. The line is probably sometimes 30 minutes, and when you're going between classes, you got 10 minutes, ain't nobody got the time. If you do have an extra second, I would highly recommend the LA Starbucks. It's probably the best one on campus, and it has the most study space, and it's also attached to LA, which is the abbreviation for Linux Addington. Like I said, it's a residence building, and it also has a dining facility in there, so if you don't want Starbucks, there's pizza, there's chicken strips. I think there's a place where we can get like snacks and chips and stuff, so I would highly recommend going to the LA Starbucks instead of the other ones. So you heard it from me. So the second one is about picking courses. I'm not sure if y'all have already picked courses for the fall, but for the winter time you would have probably picked your courses through WebAdvisor, and I learned this I think in 2nd year. But if you go on WebAdvisor probably a day or two before your designated course selection, you can actually go and pick your courses. So basically what that means is you can look for the sections that you want and all of that stuff. You can actually select them, right? So once you select them, you will be taken to a window where you can see all of your courses. So once that's there, just leave it. When it comes to your time for course selection, I think it's usually like 8 a.m, which I think is ridiculous, but anyways, it's usually 8 a.m. All you have to do is sign into WebAdvisor and just hit register on each of the sections, and then you're already in, so you don't have to like frantically try to figure out your schedule at 8 a.m. Yeah, don't do that. I did that in 1st year. Do not recommend. So yeah, you can actually select your courses before course selection. Don't know if that's changed, but I don't imagine it would have, so highly recommend doing that. So another really quick tip, I feel like this is something that you've probably seen before, but especially for Guelph, do not buy your textbooks new. I made this mistake in first year. I bought all of my textbooks new and it was a stupid amount of money. Honestly, it doesn't even make any sense. It's a whole scam. Don't do it. Don't buy your textbooks new. I know it's super appealing because the bookstore is like, oh, it's so nice, I'm in a university bookstore. Girl, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. Instead, what you can do is buy them used on, you would probably have been accepted into like a Facebook group when you first get into Guelph, and usually on those Facebook groups you will see there will be a lot of upper year students who will be selling their textbooks, especially in first year when a lot of the courses are generic. A lot of people have taken Psych 1000 and Management 1000 and economics. You will be able to find a textbook. Usually what you can do is they will post all of their textbooks. Sometimes they'll post the price, sometimes they'll have you DM them for the price, and usually they're pretty affordable. Sometimes people will also even sell their notes with them. They'll sell their clickers. I know when it comes to like lab or science majors, they will sell like their lab coats and stuff. So please take it from me, don't buy it new. Just buy it used, and usually they'll be able to set up a time for you to exchange the money and the textbook. One thing I would recommend is just be safe. You know, usually people are fine. Like usually they'll meet you in like the UC or something, and it will be quite safe. But if it sounds sketchy, either bring a friend or just don't go. Honestly, don't be dumb. Don't be dumb. Be safe, y'all, when it comes to getting your textbooks. But usually it's fine. I know the university has like a buyback thing and you can buy used textbooks through the co-op bookstore, but I find that it was kind of stressful and the line's really long when it comes to getting textbooks, and usually courses start quite fast and you don't have time for all of that. So I would highly recommend buying them used. If you have to buy them new, get the loose leaf if you can. It's significantly cheaper. It's not as fun as like a hardcover textbook, but in reality you're probably not going to be using it past that semester. And if you do buy it new, make sure you try to resell it the next year so you can get some type of profit, because trust me, those textbooks are the price astronomical. Another food tip, I don't even know, also I have my notes beside me, I don't know if I have more food tips, but anyways, one of my other food tips is Brass Taps and Griffs, which are two like campus like bar pubs type things at Guelph. They actually do takeout, so if you call ahead of time, usually about 20-30 minutes, you will be able to get food instead of staying there, which is really convenient during like midterm season, or I don't know. I used this a lot when I lived in the townhouses because I didn't really feel like going and like sitting down at Brass Taps. So if you still want their chicken strips, then you can just order takeout. This is also perfect after class too. Like if, you know, it's like the last class of the day, you can like call them, and then by the time you walk all the way to the UC to Brass Taps, your food will probably be ready. If anything, you'll just like sit there for a little bit and then late, but it's honestly so convenient, and I really wish I knew that in first year. I could have just like walked over and grabbed food, especially if you live in South. It's very close to the UC, so yes, you can grab takeout. I think you can also get milkshakes too, like literally anything you can get takeout, so I would highly recommend using that. Next tip is about buses. I feel like Guelph buses are notorious for being not on time. I personally never had this as a problem. Like I said, I lived in the East Village townhouses and I lived in South for all of my time at Guelph. I lived on campus, so I never really left campus that much. I never really used the buses that much unless I needed to go to the mall or to Walmart, which, thinking about it, I did that quite often. But anyways, I usually never have ran into really many issues with the buses, and I think a lot of that was because I used Google Maps to figure out what times the buses were coming. They will also tell you if they're running late, and they will also tell you when other buses are coming. So if you can't make that one, they'll tell you other ones that you can take, different buses as well as different times, which is very convenient. I know in front of the bus stops they will show you like a list of times that those buses are supposed to come, but usually they don't come at those times, so I would highly recommend using Google Maps instead. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Guelph Transit has an app, but I heard it wasn't really good, so I just always used Google Maps and it was so much better. It'll also tell you how far the bus stop is, so if you're like out partying one night and you're not exactly sure where the bus stop is, on Google Maps they will show you like the distance to get to that bus stop, which I think is really convenient, and it will tell you where to go. So that's my tip about bus times and buses. So when it comes to exam season, I know a lot of people like to rent out rooms so they can study as a group, which I would highly recommend doing, because sometimes the group study floor is very loud and then the quiet study floor is obviously very quiet and you can't really study with a group. So you can actually rent out study rooms in the library, but it's very competitive to get a room, especially during midterm and final season. So one thing me and my friends actually discovered is, if I'm not mistaken, I think you can rent them out in McKinnon, which is this huge building right across from the library at Guelph. It's kind of creepy, not even gonna lie. I hate that building, to be honest, but I think you can rent the rooms out. If I'm wrong, what you can do is you can go in, and if there is, just peep into all the classrooms. If there's no class in there and the room is unlocked, you can actually go in there and study. You can just study in there until someone comes in and kicks you out. I think me and my friends did this for, I think it was an economics final. We just went into McKinnon to find a room just to see if we can all study together, and there was an empty one, and we literally sat in there, I think from like 11 a.m. till 8, and nobody came into that room, and we didn't have to like sign it out or anything. So if you do need a study room, even if it's just by yourself or just with a few friends, I would highly recommend checking McKinnon. Yeah, it's probably the best place to go, to be honest. Another really good place to study is the business building, which is again in North Campus. I think it's called McDonald. I think now they call it like the Lang business building, I don't know, but it's a really big building. It's the first building when you cross into North Campus from Central Campus, and they have a lot of study rooms there. Those ones you do need to rent out, but they do have like TVs and stuff, so you can practice your presentations and everything. It's a business building, so it's very like, you know, very high-tech and fancy. It's built in new, I think, so there's a lot of really great study rooms there. I think on the top floor there's like these booths, so you can sit in there with your group and just study. So I would highly recommend using those two buildings instead. Another more academic tip, and I feel like I'll talk about this more in my university tips video that's probably going to come up in like a few weeks or so, but is to take advantage of the SLGs. These are called, I think they're called supported learning groups. I don't know, but I think in first year there's a lot of different ones. They have them for science, math, I think they have one for psych, as well as into second and third year they have a bunch of them, and it's basically a free tutoring service. There's usually a student who has taken the course before who sits in on lectures, and from those lectures they will make kind of like the study group. Sometimes they'll make like extra pamphlets to go over. They will do a lot of like midterm and finals prep. It's also a really great way to make friends in your courses. I didn't do this in first year, which I don't know. When I get into more story times about my first year experience, you'll realize I was honestly the dumbest bitch to walk the planet. But anyways, I never used them in second and first year, but they will a lot of the time run like a lot of practice questions, and it's a really great way to ask them questions and just go over concepts that were a little bit difficult in class. I know I used this for, I think it was my theory of finance class, and she was really great because if there was something that was really confusing, she would help us understand it a lot easier, and it's free. Like, what? She also gave us her email so we can ask her questions if we were confused. And like I said, it is a really great way to make friends, especially in first year, with people within your class and in your course. And from there I actually ended up meeting one of my best friends, Annie, in that SLG group, and from there we actually formed another group to study even more outside of these SLGs. So I would highly recommend using them. Like I said, they're free. It's not something that you have to sign up for. You can just walk in and stay for 5-10 minutes. It's not a long thing. It's not like a committed tutoring group either, so it's very casual. I thought it was more like intense than it actually was when I finally ended up going. It's super chill, and honestly it's so helpful, and it's just like a fun time. You can get your Starbucks before and just go. Usually they're in the library and they will tell you the room. I highly recommend an SLG for sure. My last tip for this video is to meet with your program counselor 1 to 2, at least I would say 1 to 2 times a year. I usually went once a year, and then leading up to my study abroad I went all the time. But the reason I recommend doing that, especially at Guelph, is because a lot of the time your program counselor will give you a lot of really great advice about what courses to take. They will help you kind of see if you're on track, especially because there's so many courses that you have to take, especially if you're in an honors program, or if you're like me and you did a minor as well, just to make sure you're on track. You don't want to be in like 3rd or 4th year and you realize you're still missing like 5 courses. That would really suck. So I would highly recommend meeting with them at least 1 to 2 times a year, just to kind of go over your transcript. You will have to book an appointment usually, and you will just have a little meeting with them. Nothing crazy, just be like, I just kind of want to go over my transcript, make sure I'm on track, make sure my grades are good, make sure I have everything I need. I know the few times that I went, they actually they realized that a lot of my courses double counted. And what that means at Guelph is if you took a different course, for example, I took Psych 1000 for my minor. I also needed Psych 1000 for my marketing major, so they just combined the two and I didn't have to take the course twice. And that double counting situation counted for a lot of my courses, which is how I graduated with so many credits. And honestly, if I didn't go to these meetings, I probably wouldn't have figured that out. I also went to one meeting in particular, and my program counselor specifically told me to go to a different prof for my theory of finance class. She was like, please, there's 2 profs and one of them you do not want to take that course with. And she was very like, if you can, go with this other prof. And thank God she told me that, because it ended up saving my GPA. So yeah, highly recommend going and talking with them, even if it's just to chat. Make sure you're doing whatever. Sometimes just having meetings with them, they can also point you in the right direction of more resources and better people to talk to if you have any concerns about your program or your courses or what you're doing. So yeah, I would highly recommend meeting with your program counselor, especially if you go to Guelph. So that's the end of my video. First, I think of many videos in the next couple of weeks and months about my time at Guelph, and I just decided to start this off with kind of like a more of a fun video. I think in the next couple of days I will film something with a little bit more depth. But if you have any questions about Guelph, make sure to leave them in the comments, or you can DM me on Instagram. It's going to be up here. It's also in the bio, and I think it was at the beginning of my intro. So yes, be sure to DM me on Instagram, comment or whatever, and I will be sure to try and get and answer them. Like I said, I'm a business major, so if you have questions about other majors, I might not know the answer, but I can point you in the right direction of where to go. So I will definitely be filming more videos like this. So if you also have any more questions about Guelph, the dorms, anything, literally anything, comment them down below and I'll answer them in another video. So I will see you guys in the next video, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.